If you have no clue what this is, you're missing out. Okay, we're slowly getting back into the swing of things with more server stuff, right? Server events and the stuff. There's actually going to be another climbing thing in Peak very, very soon. I just need to figure out a good day for it because now my schedule's starting to stabilize in a way that's very nice. And I'm very happy about because before my schedule was all over the fucking place. It was very annoying. I too was annoyed with it too. Okay, like I don't have any choice with my schedule in terms of what happens. Sorry, I tried not to swear anymore because I realize swearing is bad. But I did learn actually. People who stutter can't stutter in four situations: when they talk to themselves, when they swear, when they sing, and I forgot the fourth situation. But the accountability circle is a group where we decide to say, okay, all of us are going to set some goals, things that we want to do, and we have trouble hitting them on our own because it's hard to keep motivation by yourself. But do you know what does work? What does work is peer pressure. And we have actually four peers, including me, doing this effort. So we can actually go in and actually do this stuff. We can actually peer pressure each other into hitting our own goals. So it's actually a pretty interesting concept. Wikipedia has this entire article on it. Accountability partner, I guess is what it's called. Yeah, here we go. The accountability partner on Wikipedia article is actually an entire talk about what this is. What's interesting is that it started within evangelical Christianity for porn. Like the concept as a whole started for dealing with porn addiction, which is hilarious to me. Which is also like, again, we saw the video of that superhero spoof thing where the Catholic Church made it, and then it was like my my superpower is super strength, my super weakness porn. But seeing this and seeing its use elsewhere, I've also seen it used within body doubles, ADHD body doubles. Which is ADHD body double. If I go to Fiverr, pretty sure this should show up. There we go. So you actually have body doubles who will be here. What's funny is that their phrasing too is so funny to me because their phrasing it's like a BDSM thing. I will be your loyal ADHD body double. Like, who gives a fuck if you're loyal? I don't care if you're loyal. I genuinely don't care if you're loyal. It doesn't matter. Why did you say that? No one's expecting you to be a loyalist. Why did you have to emphasize the loyalty? It's such a weird, I don't know. There is something funny about this. Like, I'm still 50-50 on if this is like a secret way to hire escorts, but it is here. It is here, and it is possible to like hire somebody. And it does work, right? There has been I did read a few studies on it where like apparently it really does work to have somebody sit there and basically watch you do stuff, and then you watch them do stuff. Like I that's a very bad way to explain it, but it's fascinating to know that the system works, even though it's just people watching each other do things and being within the presence of each other. Something about that is empowering in the sense of helping you focus on what you need to do. But let's say I would be a professional ADHD body double. What's interesting is that they use this like body picture, which is a little scary. I'm not really sure. 1 hour double session. I will be your ADHD body coach. Hello, contact us. Double chin. What? I will do body slimming, body shape editing, face photo. I don't even think they touched on this photo. Did they edit this photo? Oh, I guess they did. Well, you really can't find anything on Fiverr. And this search term has actually ended up being probably one of the worst search terms I could have ever chosen. Because now we're getting so many different things here. RBA ADHD body double. ADHD body. Alpha male. Okay, here we go. I will write an engaging alpha male romance story. I will put your face on a rich, muscular alpha male. Nothing else about you. Nothing else about you, but just your face. I will put your face on a muscular alpha male body. That's funny. I will write an engaging alpha male romance story. What in the world am I looking at? Are you looking for a captivating alpha male romance story? Well, I don't even know what I'm looking at anymore. Well, I'm Anna. Being a writer is the best thing that's happened to me because it's the only way I can communicate with both nature and people. I will create detailed, realistic characters for Sims 4 with CC Alpha Maxis. I will design gay romance, dark mafia, LGBT, spicy alpha male fantasy, KDP, ebook covers. What? I will cast what? I will cast a revolutionary alpha male DNA spell. I'm a professional Wiccan and spellcaster. Unlock your true potential and become a confident, charismatic, and magnetic alpha male through my revolutionary DNA casting. What's on the table? Okay. This is watermelon, apples, lemons or oranges, one onion, coconut, coconut milk, oatmeal, plantain. If that's all it takes to cast a spell, anybody could do it. Like anybody would do it from home. If that's all it took, anybody would do it from home. I will record deep professional American male voice actor clips. You know what's crazy? People don't look like what they sound like. Like I don't look anything like what I sound like. If you saw me in real life, you'd be like, "Wow, you don't sound like you look," which is either good or bad. I've actually heard from many people before they meet me, they always go, "Wow, I thought you'd be taller." You know, gee, thanks, man. That's a cool man. I would record a British male voiceover. I would draw fantasy, not safe for work hockey art book covers. What? What do you mean hockey sport book? How many hockey sports books are there? There's no way that this is like hockey sports book Goodreads. Genres? Hockey. Oh my god. Ice hockey is a contact team sport played on ice, usually in a rink. New releases tagged hockey. Playing Dirty by Leighton Yu, number 4, The Wildest Man. Starborn Puck Boy. Over the Moon. Pucking possessive. Oh, the offside play. I did not know this was a whole genre. I did not know this was a whole genre. Sometimes I know that some of your students won't do homework, so you peer pressure them into studying more by just staying in the call for 10 to 20 more minutes while you do stuff. Exactly. And that actually helps a lot. Yeah, honestly. Like it's the one thing that I do think doing stuff from home does miss. Like it works for me, but I recognize not for all of the, right? Because it's we're very it's when you're alone, it's very easy to fall back into what you always do. But when you're with somebody, it's very easy to do the thing that they're doing too. And it's a modeling thing, especially with like people who typically fit the mindset of a student, right? Usually with people who are students, they're like they're actively looking for somebody who they can model themselves after. And so it's even more important, I think, to model whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you want them to do within yourself. Like there was a study I think that came out a while ago that was like it looked at sort of people's agreeableness with those who practice what they preach. And what they found was that, you know, kids and especially teenagers seem to respond better, it's significantly better to their caretakers who practice what they preach. Instead of just saying it and then go like instead of saying don't smoke and then going to a smoke, what they saw was that if their parents also didn't smoke because they practiced it and they practiced this like life, then they too would be more believing of the viability of it, because then it would be like, oh, you know, like they're practicing it because they know it's bad, so maybe it is bad. I imagine that's probably the same impetus for somebody who is learning, because when you're learning, right, you have no clue what you're doing. Like you're this is your first time learning most of this stuff, and so you're trying to figure out what it is that you're supposed to do. And so, but then before you learn, you're doing nothing with your life. So it's like it's very easy to fall back into that old pattern of doing nothing at all. But then just having somebody sit there and stare at you, it's strange how empowering it is, because then it's like, oh, I'm in this space now, I'm in this mindset, and somebody will call me out on it. I might as well keep on doing it. It's weird how that is a more effective trigger in our mind than something like this is important for whatever it is that I want to do, right? Which is probably in a way saying something about the fact that we don't treat our desires as well as we treat societal impact. Also, who? Okay, this is a great. I did not know that there was so much hockey fan fiction or just real books out there that was all about this idea of like romance. Genuinely, to me, hockey is literally just you play, you hit the puck, and the puck goes inside the net. I will record an English male voice actor. I record a Southern American male voice actor. I create a fast-paced and attention-getting UGC video. The stare emote is literally what your students see in the webcam window. Okay, but I would not do the webcam thing. I would actually tell them to stop. If I hired one of the body doubles, I would tell them to turn off their webcam. I will gladly test your game. You will tell me exactly what you need, and I will do it even better. Contact me before placing any other. Oh, wait, please. Let's say you have a game that you want to release very soon, and you need some feedback. I'll thoroughly test your game on PC with my game testing service. Is this like a real thing that people do? Game testing? Can I offer myself as a game tester? We'll thoroughly test and review your game. Male and female perspectives. We have 25 plus years experience of gaming experience. Game testing, pro QA, I love games. Please give me game to test. I'll create raw. What? I will create authentic, raw, unedited spokesperson video footage as your male actor. What does this even mean? If your last video felt too polished, like it was trying too hard, you're not alone. Not every offer needs edits, translations, or sound design. Sometimes that distracts. This gig is simple. Authentic, raw, unedited, spoken video footage by pro male actor. I will be your fictional fantasy, romance story, book, or novel ghostwriter. I will give you a Korean dubbing track for your content and a Korean track. I will voice over your F1 YouTube video in British English. There's so much to unpack for the statement. One, only videos of F1 racing. Two, F1 racing is popular within, the British person sphere. And then three, I will do the voice for that video. Oh my god. It really does fit. That was the most fitting voiceover I've ever heard in my entire life. That was so good. That was actually really good. I will be your male voice actor as an old man, wizard, or lord. I will narrate a. What is all of this? Like, what is this? I will design a mafia dark, not safe for work. Well, okay, well, anyways, that's what accountability partners are for. Okay, this is what an accountability partner is for. We got a little sidetracked, sorry, but basically, yeah, you just have somebody who's there and they help you do your stuff, and honestly, it really does work. Just having the pressure of having to do it actually got me to like think about actually getting this stuff done. I'll start with me first because for me, it's very easy to do because I can't show you it. It's actually the one thing that I can't show. The problem and the reason why I can't show it is because uh, my goal for the week was to get a server going for this stupid little game idea that I had. And I was holding it off on it because I really hate doing server stuff. It's actually the one thing that I wasn't hoping to do. I was just going to work on the client for as long as I could. But what I realized is that I need the server because the server does a lot of very important things that I want to have within this game too. And I would rather test it sooner rather than later. The problem with any server is that if I show it to the world within maybe like 2 seconds, it would be overrun and taken down. Like it's actually very quick and like terrifying how quickly it happens. Right now, the only access that I have to it is through SSH, and I need to actually open up the port for the game port itself, and that's going to be a hassle because I don't know how to filter traffic beyond that at an application level before it touches my application. Because that traffic could be anything, and I need to make sure that the traffic doesn't go anywhere else. But thankfully, I can just bind it to the ports, and it's fine. But also, there's a lot of complexities around keeping something like that secure from even normal operations that I would need. Like, I need to ping my machines to see what's going on. But I don't know. I don't know if you remember from last time, but last time when we had the Factorial server, when I showed you the Factorial server, and I showed you just how much stuff was being was hitting the server, I was actually very surprised. One of them was a Brazilian finance company that I'm pretty sure one of their machines was probably taken over, but like, yeah, a Brazilian finance company was hitting the server, pinging it, looking for exploits, and they specialize in and it was a real financial institution. And I was like, "What? Why are they doing this to me? Like, what did I do? What did I do to Brazil to get attacked by one of their banks? Like, it was such a like you just don't know the amount of traffic that's out there, and you just don't know the amount of bots that exist somewhere, right? But I want you to know, if you're Brazilian and you bank with one of your banks, like one of your banks is actually currently exposed, and there is actually a bad actor machine inside of that bank that's currently being used for a botnet of some kind, and you do need to be careful of that, because they're probably stealing your stuff right now. What else is there? Oh yeah, so because I have the server up, it's sort of like the thing about the server is that it's not just buying a server, because the thing that I actually ended up going with was a Hetzner server, but just buying a server is actually the easiest solution. Oh, sorry, is the easiest thing to do. If you know the Hetzner is this. I think they're a German company, but they have servers available for you to buy in various places. So they have, it's your very typical server host. You can either, with one atypical portion here, you can get a VPS, which is a very handy thing to have. A VPS is like a very cheap server that you buy. That's not really your own server. You're actually sharing and running things on a server. It's just that server is also running a virtualization layer of some kind, usually some VM of some kind, and you run your stuff within that VM. So it's just a very beefy machine. There's a bunch of VMs running on it, and you get your own VM that can use whatever it is on there. There's multiple plans. The shared plan is very cheap. The shared vCPU means that you share computing resources with everybody else on that machine. It's actually probably the worst option, but it's also handy for most things. Most websites can get away with a shared vCPU, because most websites, if you have like under 1,000 hits per day, let's say, I think you can get away with a shared vCPU because it's not that complicated, especially if you have a static website. But even then, there's even better options for static sites. But I'm just saying, like, if you have to host your own web server, this is not a bad deal at all, and that's a per month price. A per month price that gets lower if you go IPv6 only, in which case you can chop off another 50 cents. And it's only based on what you use. So if you can somehow figure out how to put your server into idle and you don't mind the cold boot time of your thing, whatever it is that you do, you can actually get even cheaper. This is the max amount per month, but it may be that you only use it for 30 cents. I've seen people rent these servers to act as all kinds of things. I've seen them, people rent it to act as like control nodes for other applications, or as like exit nodes from their own self-hosted WireGuard system. I don't know if that's like a good term for it, but like, yeah, basically, like they would just run WireGuard on these things, and when they're asleep, it's costing them $0. Okay. The one thing that's crazy about Hetzner is that as long as you don't host your thing within America for some reason, you have 20 terabytes of traffic for free on their cheapest plan. So they start at 20 terabytes of traffic. To put into perspective, you could download your entire Steam library, and I think you would still only maybe hit like 1 terabyte. And you could do that 20 times. And just imagine how much data that is going over the wire. And think about the fact that most websites don't have that much data. So if I go into the console and go into the network, let's say, and I pop it, you can actually see the size of all the assets. Kilobytes, 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 kilobytes. These are all in kilobytes. All of these are in kilobytes. And this is the transfer size, because basically every asset is pushed down, and I'm on a VPN, so it's fine. But every single asset is compressed down. So what you actually send over is such a minuscule amount of data, even for a website that gives you so much complex stuff, that even if you're using it for some reason to view websites, if you're viewing websites on your VPS, you won't even reach like a terabyte's worth of usage in terms of your traffic. And they give you 20 for free, which is absurd to me, because that seems like an insane price. I tried to go with the shared vCPU, But then I was worried because they apparently throttle very heavily right at 20% usage, which is exactly where I kind of needed to be based on what I tested, but also my machine. I had to run the client and everything on my machine at the same time. So I actually went with the dedicated vCPU option of this one, the cheapest option. However, I haven't fully like stress tested it because again, I'm worried about opening it up to the world. But the moment that I do, I think I have a good idea of how to stress test it. I'm just gonna spin up like a bunch of VMs, and the scripting of it is not too hard. And I'll just boot them up with an image that I saved, and then each of them will run the application against this one thing. The problem is that like even if I do it in the VMs, it's all going to come from my connection. So I'm worried that it's just going to congest my connection. So I might have to build my own botnet to test myself. Like I might have to build my own botnet to be able to test this. And I don't really know if that's legal. So I don't really know what to do. But I'll figure it out based on the terms and conditions. It may just be that like if I stress test from my end, if it feels fine for like a heavier load, then it might be okay. But at some point this will be open to you, the chat, and everyone else to also help me test it too. Because it's like I can't do everything on my own. The best stress test really is to just throw it out there because there's a lot of complexities to doing your own stress test. And while I always say it's very very good for you to do that kind of test, I also recognize it's very annoying to do because there's so much effort that you have to go through just to be able to set a test like that up. I use Ansible to configure the machine, and I deploy it without any Terraform because I don't need more than one server at the moment, and I think my server scaling is going to be very different. I'm trying to target a different model for it instead of just spinning up whole new server instances for like one single thing. Because like these things come with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Like that's absurd. 8 gigabytes of RAM is insane for what I need. So it's like I don't even need this much. Even 4 gigabytes of RAM is like absurd for what I need. Like I need maybe like I don't know 2. It's not that much. So and maybe 2 under like very heavy loads. So it's like I'm fine with whatever this is. So I'm doing it under a different model. But Ansible at least just so I have a like a reproducible way to set these machines up. Because the one thing that I really really hate about deployments is that everything needs a million different steps, and all of those steps across various different levels of the software stack. So it's like I have to do things at the operating system level. I have to install certain packages. I have to do things within each of those package levels too. Like I have to configure the firewall. I have to configure Podman. I have to configure I don't know, like everything. It just feels so painful to do that. Having again tools that are like infrastructure as code, very very handy for you to be able to come back to a reproducible state. Obviously, it'd be even better if you could just do it as like a VM, but like VMs have a cost to it, so this is like your next best bet, right? And containers, if done well, they basically have zero overhead. So, well, that's a very simple. But simplified down, basically zero overhead. So fairly straightforward to do. The playbook was interesting to write though, because I didn't realize how much Ansible has had that changed, and nobody gave me an update on whether or not there was anything new. I actually tried to figure out if there was a new way to do things, and I saw nothing. I did see that Salt and Puppet were still alive somehow, but Ansible for me is so much simpler because all Ansible needs is just a single port open, or just like any number of ports based on what it needs to be able to do things. At some point, I'm going to have to hook it up as well to a Slack channel or something. Probably not Slack, but basically I need some way to get reported on, to get reports on the status of these machines and sort of the playbook runs, because just seeing it within the console window, like right now, my home computer is the control plane for Ansible, but that doesn't work long term, because long term I want to use my computer to do things like Goon. So it's like I need to make space on my computer to do things besides that. So that's going to be a problem. My application is actually sitting on the server right now. It's running, but because the ports aren't open, you can't connect to it, which is good. It's also a very simple implementation of it. Like the database is running. Authentication works as to whether or not it's actually good. I still haven't really fully double checked it in certain cases. But you can actually make an account and log into it, and it actually does like the functions. Some of the functions are there, and like I can read packets from the client, but other than that, there's not really much else that it does with those packets, because I haven't even really figured out how far I want to take this stupid idea yet. So, and like that's more application level stuff versus like infra stuff. Like when I think of infra stuff, I think of infrastructure as specifically the bits and pieces that you need to get something going and running on a machine, and maintaining a process's life cycle on some sort of device. And so it's like, for me, spinning up the server was that, and now that I'm done that, it's good. It's nice. But another cool thing about Hetzner, uh, do you conversion from euro to your currency? Because it's a bit surprising how much it goes up. I did not realize how strong the euro was as well. There's a lot of things I had to set up. So I had to set up alerts, especially for the traffic, because the traffic portion, it's weird how the monthly cost is the backs of this. But these extra costs, as far as I read into it, seem to be able to go above the monthly cost. Like, you can do your monthly cost based on CPU time, but your traffic, if you go beyond 20 terabytes, not that I would, but like if it does, I would pay 50 cents more, I think, per terabyte or something. I think it was like a very high amount. Sorry, it's $1 per terabyte, which is that's insane. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but like when it's only $12, just 12 euros, which is like, I don't know, how much is it now? 12 euros, 2 CAD. Yeah, right now it's $19, right? So round up with a bit of more tax and stuff like that, it's like $27, right? An extra an extra $2 on top of that can feel like a lot, because that's a whole 10% on top of the asking price, right? Another cool thing about Hetzner is that it's actually very simple to get started. It's surprisingly, you have a lot of control over this. They also have a lot of different options too. I didn't realize this, but they have they actually have a hosted version as well. Though their managed version is interesting. Their managed server is just a LAMP stack. So you have to do things in accordance to it being a LAMP stack. So, LAMP being Apache, and then you have MariaDB, and then you have like all these things. It's mainly like a PHP server, and you just use it to run like a website or something. Overall, pleased about Hetzner. I actually did I did a very large amount of research into which host I would use, whether it was like OVH Cloud or if it was DigitalOcean or this or Cloudflare. In terms of price to performance, compared to something like Linode, this was your best bet, at least for me, to be able to start like a server fairly cheaply. And also, I enjoyed in the general. I enjoy using Hetzner for my own projects. Otherwise, too, even at like work, it's usually pretty good. The only thing that I'm kind of worried about is because it's hosted in Germany. I don't know how applicable GDPR is to me, and I don't know how to actually deal with GDPR fully. That's usually just being okay, somebody's going to tell me how to deal with it. But for me, it's like, I don't know how specifically to understand GDPR, to understand how it relates to what I'm doing. Because laws like that are contextual as to how they affect you, because it depends on what you're doing. Because if you don't do what it enforces, like if you don't do the thing that it's trying to target to try to enforce, then you don't need to care about it to some degree. But I don't know how to know that yet, so I'll have to figure that out. Hello, chat. Other cool things about Hetzner that I found out: they have a very hilariously scary URL for their S3 storage system. So they have a cloud storage system that's very similar to S3, and the URL is your-objectstorage.com. It's probably the scariest URL I've ever seen, because it looks like a virus when you look at what the URL is. What's crazy is that it's their real URL. It just redirects back to the storage share page. They also have a server auction. Okay, this server auction thing is a really cool option. It's servers that they couldn't run otherwise for various reasons. Maybe the customer went bankrupt. And these are servers that they can't just spin up for use in other cases, that they would usually have to go through more effort to do so. And so it's actually more economical for them to auction off the server for you to be able to use. And these things are pretty damn beefy. Like, you get 64 gigs of RAM for $30 a month, which on the dedicated options, if you go dedicated, if I go back to here, this is probably the easy way to say it. If you go and you get a dedicated server from here, right? 37.64. Like, the prices are actually somehow a little bit cheaper on this page than it would be on something like this. Though, granted, I've heard that the price of performance is not so good, but I'm also not good at... This is a problem that I had when also researching which options to use, is that, like, I don't understand what any of these are. I actually kind of hate the naming scheme for most things computing. And I hate how weird it is to have to figure out. Like, I hate how annoying it is to go and try and find information on how the performance of these things really is like within the use cases that you need them in. Like, it's hard to find information about that because use cases, they typically fall under like certain categories or buckets, but because everybody only does their use case, there's no real data on whether or not it's good or not until somebody goes and tries it out. But they only talk about their use case versus somebody else's use case. And most use cases are websites, which have a very different usage pattern than something like a real-time application. So very difficult for me to understand what any of these specs are. Very difficult for me to understand exactly what these things mean. I've had to do a lot of learning about what the server side of computing hardware looks like and what it all means and what you can expect. And it was fun to learn though, because I actually did learn quite a bit. Obviously, some of these can go up very high in price, but these are like the really, really fancy machines. But you can like, it's surprising how many options there are on Hetzner, no matter your need for something. And again, what's nice is that they don't send you a server, like they don't ship it to you. You just rent it in their location. And it's great because they handle things like security. They handle things like making sure the room is cooled and that there's enough power to run the thing. Well, one thing that I did notice though is that they don't handle for dedicated servers when a piece of hardware fails, which makes sense because at that point you're taking over ownership of it temporarily. So you have to inform them and you have to run your own test. That's one pain point that I realized is that I don't have any skills in identifying when something breaks. So I've also had to on the side try to learn that too. If anything, this has just given me more things that I need to do for my next accountability circle, which has been very, very painful. But you know what? Fun. I guess it's fun. Is it fun? It's fun. It's fun. It feels good. Feels good. What else? So that's all of mine. Again, I can't show you the server because it'd be very bad for me to show you the server at the moment. I can actually give you the next chatter stuff. Lloyd Hentai didn't say anything. I think they're busy today with something, or they forgot, which is sort of funny. But I don't know what they're doing. Mint actually wanted their goal, and was that they wanted to finish their fonts, and they want to sell them so they can make it their passive income, which is funny because I think about passive income as like a very interesting term for shit that you sell that can be resold over and over and over with zero effort. That's like the one promise of software that I really enjoy. Like anything software related, you only need to do it once and you can sell it over and over and over. I'm telling you right now, selling food is the hardest thing that you could possibly do. Because every time that you want to sell food, you have to cook it again. It's actually sick. It's actually a sick game that nature has played on us, that when you cook an ingredient and it gets eaten, it turns into poop and you can't reuse it, like Kopi Luwak. Like, it's actually so annoying. So you have to go and do the thing again and again and again and again and again until finally you make enough money. Whereas like somebody like me or Mint, they can just make a font or something and they can just have it be there, be sold, and then it's good. Forever and ever. They gave an update down here, and they said the current state of the font. They started working on extra bold weight. I don't know what the fuck that is. So they can like otherwise. I don't know font. So me reading this is like me reading the hieroglyphs on an ancient stone tablet somewhere. Okay, I genuinely don't know. Digital property greater than physical property. You can't eat your hard drive. You can. But unless you're that dude from the Guinness World Records who can eat like a plane, like an old Cessna plane, you're not gonna live for very long. Okay, you do need physical property at some point. Oh, you know what? Just eat people. You know, then it's a double win, right? You lower population, you reduce overpopulation, and you make passive income. Perfect. They've made a regular weight. They've added a regular weight to their font. Oh, regular extra bold. Sorry, now I know. It's like the italics bold, but it's down weighting from 100 to 900. Extra bold weight. It lacks kerning, and kerning is that spacing between letters or something that makes it easy to read. Small e's horizontal line might be a bit too thin, but other thicknesses look bad when previewed the small size because of the automatic hinting. Automatic hinting. So I actually learned about hinting too. There's actually a really cool font from GitHub if I can find it. What's the channel? GitHub font? I don't know. Font. Current state of the font actually is helpful for once. Asked it to. They vibe coded their an application to vibe code their font. By the way, actual sicko. Mona space. This is it. Go here. Imagine vibe coding an application to test your font. I learned about hinting from this font. So it's interesting, but the spacing between fonts is actually a variable thing. I had no clue. I had no clue for a very long time that that's what it was. And what ends up happening is that you need to tell the machine sort of how far you want the spacing to be. And in doing so, there's an automatic one or a manual one. This font, for instance, does it manually. I wish I could find the example that it has somewhere on here. I don't know if this is here, really, but I don't know if it's here, but just inside bearings, letter must be altered. Narrow letters, these are letters here, wide letters, like, I don't think this is it. Actually, maybe this is it, but there's an example somewhere on this page that sort of showed exactly what it is, but but the idea was to try to make it so that there was a consistent space between all of these letters, like whatever this is, and having to tell the machine, because like if you put an M beside like an N, it gives you a different spacing for it compared to an M beside an I. That's automatic hinting, or you can do manual hinting where you directly specify the rules by which the font has to follow in order to give you whatever spacing that you want. So that's something that I did learn on my own time, which happened to actually be relevant here, because now they're thinking of doing manual hinting instead, which is 10 times more time to the font creation, since what they've read is you can't toggle between auto and manual, and that do all the letters manually. So it's like, for the letter A, they have to do what is the hinting for the rest of every single letter within the font. A compared to like Z, lowercase, uppercase, and that sounds painful. Hinting is just the data that tells. Oh, thank you. Here we go. Hinting just tells it's there. It's just data that tells the font reader where to nudge the pixel when it's not perfectly aligned with the pixel grid to make it more legible. Yes. Okay. Thank you for. I didn't. Okay. I didn't know that they included the description, but thank you for including it, because that helps me to explain it a lot better. Here we go. Bad hinting, good hinting, and it's everything about the placement of it and like the way it fits on your screen. And having to do this manually for every single letter seems like hell, like actual hell. But yeah, they actually somehow got most of their font going, which is cool. The mod also got her Gantt chart. So the mod is funny. She was like, I'm going to make a Gantt chart. And I was like, what is a Gantt chart? And I was like, I don't know what a Gantt chart is. But then I was like, oh, wait, it's that progress thing that managers use, right? And then she's like, yeah. So she wanted to do the Gantt chart. And I was like, okay, cool. So you're going to do the Gantt chart. And then what are you tracking? And she's like, I'm going to track this thing. And then when she was making it, she DM'd me. And then she was like, I don't get the point of a Gantt chart. She was like, I'm doing a Gantt chart for this thing that I'm doing at the moment, but I'd rather just do the thing that I want to do instead of making a Gantt chart. And I was like, that's sort of like you've touched upon the hardest part of product management. I feel like, or sorry, project management, where it's like the project manager is sort of think to themselves, what's the point of me tracking all the stuff if nobody's doing anything? Or vice versa. What's the point of tracking it if it gets in the way of me doing it? So they sent me a blurry screenshot. So sorry, I had to take a screenshot from a personal Discord because she was DMing me there. And she was telling me, I also had to blur it a little bit just because some of these I wasn't really sure. But here's a blurry screenshot of the progress tracker that she made. So instead of making a Gantt chart, she made a progress tracker because a Gantt chart is useless. So for those of you who don't know what a Gantt chart is, I hate saying the word, so it's best I stop saying it. But also, fair warning, you're going to see a picture of a real person, and I don't know if this person's good. Who is Henry Gantt, inventor of the Gantt chart? He's known for the development of scientific management. Okay, well, this is a Gantt chart. Imagine waterfall, but you also specify how much you expect to be done, and you do it with bar graphs. And then that's basically what you do. That's literally what a Gantt chart is you plan based on what you want to do, based on whatever time metric or whatever metrics that you want, and then you just say how much you've done, where the progress of it should be. The problem with a Gantt chart is that a lot of things don't have clear defined progress markers. Like, even me making my server, even me with my years of experience, it's like, oh, now I have more things I need to work on. So what I thought was going to be 50% done is actually only 10% done. That's a common problem. It's why something like a Gantt chart doesn't really work, because it's like, at some point, right? A Gantt chart is most useful at the beginning of the chart, but at some point, because of the way that Gantt charts and real work happens, what ends up happening is that at some point, fuck, I lost the mods thing, is that at some point, all of this is just going to be this, as in like every single bar is going to be in the exact same place. Like at some point the Gantt chart goes from this to something like, I don't know, like this, where there's no difference in the weighting. So all you see is like the bars just keep going forever, because what you thought was 50% is actually only 10%, and it's always only just 10%. So it's just an endless bar that just keeps on going forever and ever and ever and ever. Like I feel like the most useful part of a Gantt chart is at the beginning and the end, when you can contextualize as a whole the state that you want to be in at the end of a project, as well as the state that you started from, to say sort of like, okay, have you met your actual initial goals? But barring that, using it as a in progress tracker, I sort of think to myself, it's just going to look like this, and so I don't really know. Like even as a visual tool, I don't really know how to use it well. But I could just be bad, which is usually the answer. So yeah, that's the Gantt chart. And then so the mod sent me her Gantt chart. Give me a second. I need to pull it up again. I deleted the Gantt chart thing, and I need to take a screenshot of it again. Another screenshot of it again. Give me a second. I need to hide her name. I go back to here. I go back over here. I go back to this channel. I go back to... There has to be an easier way to have multiple Discord accounts. Okay. Okay. She's going to make a Gantt chart, which is then turned into a progress tracker instead. So now she has a full-on progress tracker, where she tracks a high school level kinesiology course that she's doing. This may surprise you. The mod is incredibly fit. As in, like, she basically is a gym rat. She's like extreme gym rat level. She's like she's also very good at fighting, apparently. So she's actually terrifying. But it's why I don't threaten her too much. Because she might kick my ass. I'm trying to finish a high school level kinesiology course, but since it's self-guided, I just do some and then forget about it for a while, because I think I have so much time left. Wait, that's so true though. That's actually the best representation of why... That's the best representation of why something like this is so important, right? This idea of holding each other accountable and trying to help each other finish things is so important, because it's very difficult to keep on track, because you genuinely, like, you might you might fall for the idea that you have so much time left, and this always happens, right? I didn't get to the part where I assigned dates to stuff I didn't finish, because I realized Gantt charts are useless, and I just finished more of the course instead. See that? And again, the project management problem of the Gantt chart is useless, so you might as well just keep on doing it. This is in Google Sheets, actually. This is one of the cool features of Google Sheets. That it's weird that I didn't know that they introduced this, but you can have these pillboxes that have different states in them, and you can basically define the rules for the pillboxes. Another thing that Google Sheets does that's very interesting is that they have these pre-generated templates, and they're very, very smart templates. Like, you can say, okay, I need a progress tracker template, and then it just gives you all the tools to make it, and you can rearrange it if you want, but as a default, it's pretty damn good. I use it to track my job applications. It's very, very nice. Yeah, this has been a very successful run, actually. I think everyone actually got parts of their goal completed in some way, because again, what were people's goals? Mint's goal was to make a major font update every week, and they had a major font update. They actually got they got multiple weights done. They even learned different problems with the weights as they went through it. And so now they're even thinking about these solutions to these problems too, and they're thinking about how to like solve them as well. The mod wanted to make a Gantt chart, and she went even further, and she made a progress tracker, which is in many ways even better. And she recognized this is the interesting part. When we bring up these things and we start to think about these things, she recognized that she can't keep on track with things because it's easy to feel like you have so much time. What's crazy is that she's organized enough to feel like that, because usually I would forget and then I'd be like, oh, it's over. Oh, well. And what did I do? Well, same thing. I just wanted to get at least the server side done, and I actually got it going. But then I realized there's so much more work to do. But at least I have a major update as well. Oh, I also did workout for 6 days this week. Except for today, I need to go work out for today. But otherwise, yeah, I've also worked out for 6 days this week. So far, it's been great. You can kind of tell, actually. That's why I've been sleeping in, because I'm so tired. But so far, this has been a very successful run. Like, this has been a very surprisingly successful run of the accountability circle. Okay, I genuinely think this is worth it to try out. I know all of you probably don't have goals in life, because we're all losers here, all of us. Okay. But just because we're losers doesn't mean that we can't live. Just because you're at the bottom of the totem pole within society doesn't mean that you don't deserve to try to have a fun time within life. And these goals can be as simple or as complex as you want. Like your goal might just be to watch a movie. Honestly, like one of my goals was to watch, K-pop Demon Hunters to learn more about it, right? And now I do, and now I have a very interesting like outlook on that movie in terms of the messaging that it has. And I think it's one of it. Like to me, it's like it's a 9 out of 10 kids movie. And it's so important to like set these goals because it's like life by itself has nothing for us. This is a terrible thing to say, but I'm realizing that life by itself has absolutely nothing for us. So if we do nothing at all, it feels like we're just wasting our time going away. Not that that's a bad thing, right? But I think getting to the core of what you want to do and just achieving those things and taking every single day step by step and actually making the most of your time for yourself. Even not like I'm not saying to make the most of your time to make more money. I'm saying making the most of your time to live the life that you want to live as best as you can. That's probably the only thing really that is to life. Because at the low end of being of like having nothing, it's like you have survival. But then even within survival, there's this like sense of malaise and boredom that you have that starts to consume you, and even more so because you have nothing, so you can't even afford the ability to do anything. But then it's like even at the top, you still have that feeling too of like there's nothing for you to do, and so it's like, well, I guess you now might as well just go through the effort and find out what is it that you do want to do. And I think it's worth it too, because what you want to do and what is available out there for you to do, you might be surprised at how much you can do the moment that you start doing it. Like you might genuinely be surprised that you have so much more ability to do things than you thought you did before. All that to say, join the accountability circle. We will continue on for a next session at some point. At the end of today, after today's stream, I will set up the next session, and we will continue on. Thank you for joining me on this session. I need to get coffee. This next segment is going to require me to get some coffee. We're going to check out some old game worlds through a very cool website that I found. I'll be right back in just a moment. In the meantime, enjoy the music.